Welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone on AYV Television. Don't forget to send your comments to our Facebook page. You'll find us streaming at AYV Sierra Leone Facebook page.
All right, in our first segment this morning, we are going to discuss the build-up ahead of the by-election in constituency 056 Samura Bendugu Town, Tonkolili District. Of course, the All People's Congress Party has accused the ruling SLPP and the security players of intimidation and violence against their members. Yesterday, a press release from ONS and PPRC banned all rallies ahead of the election. So this morning, to discuss the claims and find a pathway to a peaceful by-election, we've been joined in the studio by Honorable Abdul Karim Ahmed Kamara. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Samuel. Good morning, viewers.
All right, we have Charles Kev Kobai, who is the programs officer at the National Elections Watch in our studio too. Charles, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Samuel. Good morning, viewers.
All right, and we shall also be joined in the studio by the National Publicity Secretary of the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party, retired Lieutenant Lahai Lawrence Leema. But let's start off the conversation with you, Honorable Kamara. Of course, I think it was on last Sunday, I read a presser from from one of the elders of the APC, the former Secretary General, Ambassador Osman Fode Yansane, trying to reach the chairman of Electoral Commission Sierra Leone, the IG and all of that, but telling them that the 21-man committee has been trying to reach out to let them understand the state of affairs with regards to the by-election, how violence, and it was the turn of the APC candidate to rally. An endorsement came from a big player in the chiefdom, and then violence erupted. So what has been the state of affairs with regards to the by-election and the claims you're making as a party of violence and intimidation by the ruling party and the security players?
Thank you very much, Samuel. If we limit this conversation to just having our own opinion, our own position as a party, then we'll be doing injustice to the people of Sierra Leone. When we start to understand that violence in any part of the country affects our economic, social, and political livelihood as a country, then we'll start to analyze what really the problem is and how we solve the problems affecting our country. For us, this is not violence just for the people of that constituency, but violence at any level. I am a peace expert. Violence at any level of a country affects the economic livelihood of that country, and it scares away meaningful investment. It all started way back in our first day of our campaign. You know, the electoral bodies have been very good setting up calendars for every political party to rally. And in doing so, it helps us as a country to have a peaceful transition during the campaign period. Every political camp have its own day, every party has its own day. So the first day of our campaign, I was in Samura Bendugu that day, and imagine it was the day the paramount chief called for community labor, that everybody in the town should go out to work for the community. It's a tradition that I respect, but you should not do that on the day a political party is going to rally. And a fine was levied that whosoever do not go out to do that work will pay something like 150. We sensed it was going to be a political intimidation. We went to the paramount chief, who was one of our colleagues. We engaged him, and he said, oh, it's because...
One of your colleagues in what sense? A member of the APC?
He was a member of parliament before he was crowned as...
and a member of the APC?
No.
Okay.
Member of the SLPP then.
Go ahead.
So he was crowned, and he told us, oh, the president is coming tomorrow. And the day after tomorrow, say, well, you have tomorrow. Why not do the cleaning tomorrow? And the president is coming on Wednesday. He said, oh, no, you have to understand. But luckily, we left. The Tuesday was going to be SLPP, and Wednesday was going to be our day. But with all due respect to the president and his people around him, they wrote to us officially, they informed us that the president is coming on Wednesday to do an official state function. Therefore, we are asking you as a political party, though it's your day, we'll give you Thursday the other day, but please allow the president to do his official trip. This was communicated to the security sector. We abide. In fact, we told our people to go out because it is a national event, and it was going to give the people what's due them. So it went there, the mining lease compensation was given to the people, the announcements were made. So that was peaceful. The other day we were supposed to campaign, and this is all over social media. If you don't have the videos, I'll help you out them. People were going about normal business, and we saw people in green with weapons.
What do you consider normal business? I mean, you're campaigning or your rally?
Period, yes,
okay.
it was not even a rally, a door-to-door move. And we saw people in green with cutlass and other weapons chasing them. It was all over the social media. And after that very day, houses of our supporters were burnt, our people were maimed, our people were attacked, their houses were burnt. And this was not done in isolation. Thank God the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs here. The allegation we had from the people on the ground was the people perpetrated the violence were in a close connivance with the police and the military. They worked together and they were arresting people who are APC house to house. Imagine our supporters' houses were burnt, they were chopped with machetes, and at the end of the day, the police came again, identifying the people who committed the crime, helped the police to identify our own supporters again. And they were arrested and locked up again as we speak, they are in CID. Our campaign manager is in CID. Coming down to the recent events of the weekend, we knew the Vice President was going to that same place on Thursday. It was our day. We were not informed. Nobody told us. Nobody
about the Vice President's
going
visit.
to, yes. It was there on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday was our other day, and we were supposed to go in. It was when we reached Matora Point that we were told, as a party, that we were told, no, you're not supposed to go in. We asked why. Say, oh, the Vice President is inside. I said, ah. But today is slated to be our day. And if for any event, the Vice President is inside Samaya Bendugu, inside the constituency for any reason, we should be informed as a political party prior to the day. But we are not informed. We are not informed by NEC. We are not informed by PPRC. We are not informed by none of the stakeholders, even within the children, not even by ONS. We came to the checkpoint, and there was a rousy welcome by the people within the community. It was that the police saw, and they gave us entrance. We entered through the constituency, and interestingly, for me, I want to say the police need to up their game, and they need to be professionals. With all the rancor they created, because it was created by the police. We went in, we met the Vice President on the road, we played, we were making fun of each other, and the whole thing was so peaceful. And we left, we entered the constituency. On our way coming again, just at Bumbuna, we met a barrage of military men and police officers. So we came again, we asked, what's the situation? Again,
what was the response?
Well, according to them, well, it's for security reason. If you want to secure us, you go with us. But you cannot barricade the road and you say it's for security.
Was it as a result of, trying to protect the Vice President?
No, the Vice President has left long before that time. Okay. Because we met the Vice President by 11 going to 12. That was when we met the Vice President, and we were all playing. He came down, he all, Samura, we were all there, we all saw the old. For me, that was what you really needed at that material time to build on the confidence of the ordinary people who have suffered violence from the hands of the police. We after all that situation, we came back. But it was at that point when we were coming, though we saw the military men, the number of military men that were around that very place we were with machine guns. We were like under an ambush. You start to ask yourself, if just a by-election of that nature could attract that kind of huge military presence, what message were you sending? For me, I say again, if as politicians, as leaders...
How many of your people were arrested?
When?
I mean, you mentioned after the recent violence, the weekend.
No, it's not the weekend. Over the weekend, nobody has been arrested. So we are talking about the first rally we had, where our people were chopped off, and we have over 30 of them arrested all over. They are all over the place.
Right. All right. So let's bring in, let's hear the story of the SLPP. We've been joined by the National Publicity Secretary of the SLPP, Lahai Lawrence Leema. So, Leema, you've listened to the submission of AKK, and he has accused your party of intimidation and, of course, using the security apparatus against them in the by-election in constituency 056. What does the SLPP make of this?
Well, that is false and it's misleading, and it's a ploy to make the SLPP or state institutions look bad. And of course, all of us are aware of the political history of this country and the nature of certain political parties in this country. And some by their inception even, they've been violence in conduct, and this is their constant tactics of winning elections, whether in opposition or in governance. And this is always how they have succeeded in making the SLPP look bad in the eyes of the public or even in the eyes of the international community. But thankfully enough, today we are in a smart world, and that that tactics of them is, has been exposed and is in the floor of the public. The SLPP has always been a very peaceful party, a party that knows exactly how to conduct itself, whether rallying or conducting itself in elections. And the very reason why we were in opposition, we succeeded in winning elections against the backdrop of all vices that were meted on us. In order for us to look bad, we were able to evade all of them, and we focused on our message, and that is the same trajectory we continue to portray. So whatever accusation is levied, and that is fictitious, it's not true, it's false, and it's not in place. Because on the first day of the campaign process, the SLPP had a day, and they were very peaceful with their messages across to the voters, because they have a message to put to the voters, and that is what they did. On the second day, the APC had to campaign. They characterized their own campaign day with violence, intimidation, invectives against certain stakeholders, to the extent of even importing talks into that particular community. And one would wonder, what do I mean by importing talks, or how do I know that? If you go to Samura Bendugu, their customs and traditions is different from when you go to a typical Timini community, in the sense the nature of secret society in Samura Bendugu environment is different from that one in other areas. So now the song that we are singing on that day when they were rallying is not a song that is accustomed to the customs and traditions of that environment, which is indicative of the fact that the imported talks who are not familiar with that environment, and they went there purposely to intimidate, to violence, and to use invectives on certain stakeholders. And as I speak to you, they even beat up a particular son of a section chief in that community. And so this was a conduct they portrayed that warranted the intervention of the security forces to arrest some of the ringleaders, and then in order to have sanity prevail in the circumstances. And so the issue of saying the SLPP connive with the security sector to intimidate is part of the APC strategy since inception of the formation of the APC.
When you mentioned...
So that has never been the character of the SLPP.
Thugs were exported to that part of the country. From where, and how did the police react when they realized that, of course, people who were not supposed to be there, especially thugs, exported to a particular part of the country to cause mayhem? What was the reaction, and how did the police get to know about that?
Well, because their conduct was really not in conformity with the rules of campaigning, and they were violence in nature, like I've told you, and of course they were also using invectives. So that warranted the security sector to effect arrest on some of the ringleaders.
Now, the accusation here by the Honorable is that, you know, members of the SLPP actually went door to door looking for APC supporters, and some APC supporters were arrested who were identified by SLPP members.
That is not true. You know, I would always say this. This has been the pattern of the APC. So that is always what they assumed. I'll give you a clear example because I talk from experience. You know, that's what they are really accustomed in doing. When we were in opposition, if they are going with the police on operation, they will normally come with their APC youth wing. I don't want to describe them as talks, but they will normally come with their youth wings and they put them before to intimidate or arrest SLPP members. So it's the same thing that they are assuming that the SLPP is doing. That is not characteristics of the SLPP. The SLPP is a law-abiding party that believes in peace and tranquility, and the SLPP believes that we are in governance and we will not take advantage of any situation to disadvantage others.
How is it that members of the SLPP and APC clashed on the day the APC was meant to rally?
It is not my view that the SLPP clashed with the APC. It is the pattern and tactics of the APC to have a segment of the very APC itself to portray themselves like SLPP in order to blackmail state institutions and make SLPP look bad. That's not the characteristic.
So what you're saying is that members of the APC put on SLPP
which has been very characteristics of the
and
APC.
beat themselves up.
Which has been very characteristics of the APC. They did not beat themselves up. They targeted certain SLPP people and insulted them and also even beat up a particular section, a son of a section chief. They went around intimidating, violenting people to the extent of the police coming into the situation to quell down the situation. That is the APC. And now they are here to blackmail state institutions. They are here to blackmail the SLPP. But we are above that because as I speak, the SLPP has been in control of that particular constituency. So they want to showcase that that is their stronghold. And whatever it is, they have to win that particular constituency to showcase that they are in to win the 2023 elections. But you do not have a message to portray to the people. So what you want to do is the old way of doing things, violence, intimidation, blackmailing institutions. That's not going to work this time around.
All right. I see you quickly want to come in.
You know, sometimes when we speak from position of leaders, we ought to be careful what we say because there are people who judge what we say. The houses that were burnt in Samura are houses of our supporters. The people that were violently wounded and hospitalized are our supporters. The people who are arrested and detained in CID are our supporters. The APC was the party that came to ONS, the police, and the military to complain to our interim Secretary General, Abdul Kagbo. Interestingly, when the meeting of stakeholders were called, the APC was not invited. And that is how, when we saw the list from PPIC and NEC, we just laughed. Because I complained a matter. I complained the situation of violence. And in fact, it was the APC chairperson in Tonkolili that went to the police and gave them fear that our people are under attack in Samura, only for the police to report 4 hours after they received the fear from the chairperson that their vehicle is not good, they cannot go on operation. So when the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs is saying that the police went on the spot, no, they did not go to the place when the violence was perpetrated against our people. They went there the other day to arrest the people who suffered. The man whose house was burnt is now in police custody. How can I burn my own house?
Well, this suffices.
Okay.
This suffices. You see,
and let me land, Mr. Lehman. And we have footages which shows that the paramount chief, who was a member of the SLPP, his son was the ringleader of perpetrating this violence. And as we speak, he's still in Samura doing his normal business.
Which, in essence, you're saying that the paramount chief there is a member of the SLPP?
No, come on. How can somebody be a member of parliament if he's not a member of the SLPP?
Okay.
it suffices to say, if he's saying that their supporters are those who suffered the violence,
they were attacking their homes.
Then he suffices to say that the talks they brought could not distinguish who APC was and who was SLPP, right? So in the circumstance, you see that way, but you will see that way.
Childish.
Okay. It suffices to say that you bring talks who are not familiar, those who are on the ground, who are really SLPP. And so they were beaten randomly because that was the instructions under which they came.
All right.
Why did the SLPP rally on that day? That did not happen.
Stay with us,
so
gentlemen.
this is the reason why we are saying that for very simple elections of this nature, people have to conduct themselves in a manner that is very peaceful and democratic. Don't dwell on violence and intimidation. It's not going to help.
All right, gentlemen, stay with us. Let's quickly move over to our studio to where we have Charles Kev Kobai from National Elections Watch. Charles, please confirm. I don't know whether or not you observed or monitored or you're monitoring the process of this by-election in that particular constituency 056. It's new following happenings there.
We are, but we have not deployed stationed personnel as yet until on the day of the elections. However,
So what have you gathered with everything that is happening there?
So, prior to my coming here, that was one of the things I discussed with Remy. We will discuss around violence and our position against violence.
Yeah.
We cannot go into the nitty-gritties of what happens because we are yet to do our own independent findings. So until we do an independent findings, then we'll be able to come out with a position statement as to what really transpired. All that we have now is a hearsay coming from all other parties concerned in the violence. So, but as an institution, as a coalition, we abhor violence of any kind, of any sort, and of any nature. No matter who is behind the violence, we condemn violence at all levels, at all fronts, because we are a country that has had 11-year history of war. So we do not want to be seen going back to those dark ages of our history. And again, democracy is about free expression. People should be able to come out freely, express themselves, their political aspirations, support whoever they want to support, devoid of violence, devoid of intimidation. And once you begin to bring in violence or intimidation, harassment, you make the atmosphere toxic for people. And there are aged people who would want to participate in those processes. They will keep aback because they are not strong to be able to cope with violent situations around them. So you scare them off the elections. That implicitly also will disenfranchise so many people to take part in the process. So for us, from the perspective of NEW, we are against violence. And honestly, for me, I'm happy that PPRC came out with a ban. You know why? Over 6 months ago, at the PPRC, where NEW sits, also as a committee member, we had inter alia suggested that looking at all of the by-elections we have observed, with the nature of violence culminating around those elections, we would be happy if NEC and PPRC will work together for 2023 to really ban public rallies. Reasons. We have lost taste of our politicians really coming out with policies, programs that people can really interrogate and look at how feasible those programs would be in the period within which you'll be elected either as a parliamentarian or as a president. Why? Because people go out on rallies only to dance, to drink, and to marry, cause mayhem, cause violence. So, if you translate that into our democratic governance, this is why we always have issues after elections. Because so many acrimonies, tensions have built up within the period of campaigns. You know, so when you go into the elections, and after elections, people carry those vendettas along. So, but if you have people come to town hall, you speak to them, you go to university campuses, invite people who want to listen to you. If they are your followers, they'll follow you.
So that can always be alternative for campaigns.
Yes.
But just quickly, Charles, looking at the accusations and counter-accusations coming from the two political players in this particular by-election. Now, because we all need peace and we're looking forward to ways of how we can actually solidify all the processes leading to us having a sustainable peace. APC is saying even the decision taken by the political institutions, we were not consulted, we were not invited. With stakeholders meeting, we were left out. Now, and so accusing the ruling party, which has always been a pattern, that whoever is in opposition always accuses the ruling structure of whether it's APC in power, the SLPP has always been accusing. That has always been the pattern. What path should we take? Because if APC is saying SLPP is always attacking us, intimidating us because they're in power, using state apparatus to always kick us aside. And SLPP is saying, come on, we're a very decent party. We do not do such things. In fact, it is the APC that, that is inviting their own thugs to cause mayhem. And at the end of the day, they want to pin that on us. What's the way forward? Because it's, like you mentioned, we've had series of these violent incidents across, and we're headed 2023. What should be done?
So one of the steps we need to take first should be an independent investigation. So maybe it could be a joint media civil society, so that we venture into those communities, do our hands-on investigation on our own, and then whatever findings we have, we come out without fear or favor. We report to the public according to what was found out on the ground. And then if there should be name shaming, we do those things so that at the end of the day, let our political leaders be aware that they are there to serve us. And the interest of protecting us should be brought to the fore of their aspirations as politicians. And so if they fail woefully in protecting the lives and property of the people of those communities, then we should be able, having done our investigations, to come out and to name, shame whoever the faces are behind those incidences. Again, we also need to begin to look at where we have come from. Since we started by elections after 2018 elections, we have had a couple of brutal violence culminate those elections. The police is yet to charge a single person to court for those actions. We have called out the police countless times from the perspective of new. We go to PPLC meetings, we raise these things, the police is still saying we are investigating the matter. How long would it take you to investigate? Tonkolili, we had constituency 110, we had a Kailan issue where that young man was killed, we had the Kamara elections. Most of those by-elections have been violent. The police has not done adequate job to forestall violence in other coming elections. Because until you are able to put your foot down, for somebody who commits crime, crime is always bound to be repeated because
Charles, do you think an inter-party dialogue would help this situation? Because this is what the UN Residence Coordinator is calling for. But this is not the first time we're having elections, and these dialogues always happen, but we don't see a change in the way political parties campaign or the way political party supporters conduct themselves when they go out to rally.
You see, when you organize dialogue sessions and the agenda itself is skewed, you don't have frank conversations, then you will not be able to solve the issues. That's why we will always see political parties go back on their words, because those conversations that ensued whatever dialogue, we are not frank, and the people were not giving opportunity to really speak their minds to the issues, and so that you frankly look at how do we find a way forward, like we are now discussing here, over those issues. I'll give you an example. The last two by-elections that took place in Koya and Kailan, see how peaceful they were. We even commended NEC and all of the political parties. The reason was, at the PPLC, many of the big votes that came to represent their political parties, we all agreed. But please stay off the campaign zone if you are not from that constituency, you are not from that ward. Please ensure there is no importation of whatever thugs or whatever stalwarts you call them. And we engaged the candidates themselves. We were thrilled by the actions of the candidates in Koya and even in Kailan. I tell you, in Kailam, a whole public official, a very senior person, I don't want to call his name now, but a very senior official in public office, went in and drove out the APC candidate that was holding a meeting in a court barrier. According to him, the court barrier was built by his finance. He financed it. And so the APC guys were not supposed to meet there. It was interesting to note the SLPP candidate went down and she said, no, this should not happen here. We are all people of this place. And in fact, the APC people you are driving out, they all helped to carry materials to build this place. And so they have right to be there. And so that thing was settled amicably. The same thing in Koya. The candidate, the leading candidate then, was in concert with the SLPP and the other lady that contested, and we are moving to those sport places, speaking to people about non-violence. So it is also a situation where we need to really reorientate the minds of those aspiring for political positions.
All right, Charles, stay there with us. It's 9:15. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Wake Up Sierra Leone on AYV Television. Thank you for staying with us. It's about time we took your messages on the current conversation we're having on the by-elections in Sambaya, Chiefdom in Tonkolili district. We're moving over to a Facebook page. Samuel?
Yes, Mystica Duazaki saying, as a citizen of this country, I was worried when I heard the worrisome news from Samaya Bendugu. Gone are the days of political violence, irrespective of our political parties' differences. Let us maintain the rule of law and be good citizens. Samuel, what we saw in Tonkolili as citizens of Sierra Leone, we are afraid how the 2023 elections will look like. We see outright political intimidation by the ruling party. Mohammed F.S. Kamara sent in that. Samuel, did I hear Leema saying the SLPP is a very peaceful party and comports themselves in elections? Let me remind him of the party elections where they used cutlass and even killed a member of their own party. Okay, Tunde Scott is saying this government is known for terrorizing peaceful citizens since they took over in 2018. They started with the removal of elected members of parliament right inside parliament violently. We must correct our mistakes come 2023. All right, now I won't take that. Voting, okay, we've not started campaigning. These two parties, APC and SLPP, need to change. We need to change them to look into new parties to take of our development, because these two parties create violence against humanity. Yoke Musa is saying, Musam Konta is saying, APC knows they have already lost the general elections come 2023, so the strategy they've developed is to embark on violence and give it false information to the media. Let me take 3 more messages. Honestly, the days of impunity are over. They've come under this dispensation, and authority must be respected. Please campaign to your people peacefully instead of igniting problems for your people. On the way, they were involved in an accident with a lot of casualties. Speedy recovery to those who have been hospitalized. Amara Alpha. Anna Joan Conte is saying, this blame game between the SLPP and the APC has been the topic of ages. When is this investigation going to commence? Because time is running out and violence is increasing amongst the youth, which are the future leaders of tomorrow. And finally, Ronald George Stone is saying, well said our politicians don't sit down and compromise for the betterment of all Sierra Leoneans. As we all know, it's a winner takes all since independence, and nothing is changing. Only the electorate can change this saga if they are ready to put country first, or tribe, or region. I hope the former, okay. So many messages, unfortunately, those are the ones who will take because of time.
All right, thank you very much, Samuel. As we round up the conversation, you know, investigations should be ongoing now with regards to these incidents. But do we really trust the security sector, the Sierra Leone police, to come out with an independent and impartial reports of what really happened. Charles.
The unfortunate thing is the police incessantly have been brought under accusation in all of these violence that have been perpetrated across the different by-elections. So again, even though they are charged with the constitutional responsibility to look into all of those crimes, yet there will be need for an independent investigation. So for me, I would submit that NEC and PPRC constitute an independent body that will go into these communities and do hands-on investigation. And on our own part, also, civil society, maybe we can also do a joint with the media. From an independent point of view, we go in, do our own findings, we come out with our conclusions on those findings that we'll have from the investigations we'll conduct. That way, we'll begin to set the way forward. An agenda that will now embrace all. But again, let me say this very clearly to our two gentlemen that are seated there. I respect our leaders. But again, if you are proud to go out there, intimidate and perpetrate violence, you should be responsible enough to own up to your actions. This blame game would never help us. Until somebody is willing to stand up and say, yes, I did it, I'm sorry, then we'll have a way forward. Honestly enough, we have seen jihadis and terrorists commit mayhem. They come out and own up on international media that, yeah, we did this attack. So at the end of the day, you know there's somebody responsible and you know how to deal with that person. But when people commit crimes and then they are not responsible enough to own up, they keep casting blame, this one is this says is that, you put people between the crossfiring line as to who really is speaking the truth and who should we believe in all of the storytelling. So going forward, honestly, our politicians themselves should begin to abhor violence. It does not help them, neither does it help their people who follow and support them.
All right. So what path should you, the politicians, take? I mean, prescribe the solution for yourselves.
Before that, let's be a bit frank with ourselves, because I have said I am not interested to say, oh, it's not the APC, oh, it is the SLPP. My interest is government, us, and the governance line should understand that violence at every level leaves us in the position of not winning. Whether not winning the confidence of our investors, not winning the confidence of our international ratings. When we go bad international rating, it's not politics, it's our country. You've asked what we do. Who do we call on? Kev is saying the police need to do an independent investigation on PPRC. It was the same PPRC, NEC, ONS that we complained to, and they went again to have a meeting without informing the APC. So, in itself, we have nowhere to complain. It's our people whose houses were burnt, our people were attacked. I've sent you the videos. They are in the hospital, hospitalized, and the same group of people have been arrested and now locked up at CID. So where do we go? So we are on the side of suffering. We are on the side of receiving all the pains. Our party is still complaining. We are not complaining because we are happy. We are not complaining because we are satisfied. We are complaining because the situation we find ourselves, the police cannot help us. The military is worsening the situation. The military in no way should be part of internal security. But now we see the military, we see men in military uniform. I don't even want to say the military, I want to be specific with my words. We see men in military uniform perpetrating violence against our supporters, arresting them, humiliating them. This is not new to just, it was in Tonkolili, we saw thugs and the police marching up to attack our people. We saw this in Kwenedugu. The house of Dr. Kamara was almost destroyed to the point of being burnt down. Nobody, in all of these investigations we call for, nobody has been arrested from the SLPP side to say, even come to explain what has happened. Every day you call for investigation, it's our own people that have been arrested. We suffer, our people have been killed. And if you call this, the SLP is a peaceful party, I understand how peaceful they are. How can you have Leema as internal affairs, deputy internal affairs minister, and you expect him to see the SLP is violence? No, he cannot. You want him to lose his job? He cannot say that.
Certainly, I will not subscribe to his distractions. I just want to bring out one particular fact to underscore the whole point I made initially, which really suffices the fact that I was not just making statements because I want to make them. He made a particular statement, which is their strategy, that violence will really not lead us. And he categorized government. That's their target, government. That violence in every form will not make us win. Win investors' confidence or win international rating. That's the focus of the APC, right? To undo or destabilize the successes of this government. So for them, even when they are to conduct themselves well, to campaign and give the message, they have their own strategy. Yeah, we are not going to win, but yes, so that you really achieve the goal of making this government look bad. That is why I'm coming. I'll give you all the pointers. To make this government look bad, that is why you attack yourself and accuse state institutions like the police, the military, the manner in which the APC use military for even ward elections. We have never done so. We have never done so because we clearly understand the rules. And we know when you bring in military into a situation into any riotous situation or conflicting situations. But again, the SLPP conducted themselves in a very democratic and peaceful manner. Yet, you overutilize the military instead of using the police. Even when you are so much of violence in your conduct as a party, yet we restrain of getting the military involved because they are not part of internal security governance. But your violence sometimes overpower the police because sometimes you even make use of ex-servicemen. And that's more the reason why the people who are capable of handling those kind of situations are the military. Because if such situations is beyond the containment of the police will certainly escalate by calling the assistance of the military. Because all we need is sanity. All we need is peace. So the goal of the APC, it has been clearly underscored by Honorable AKK here by saying that the government will not win investors' confidence, government will not win international rating. That is their goal. And that is why for them, instead of campaigning to win, it is destructions, it is violence, it is intimidation. But we are above your tactics. Certainly, we are sure we have a message and we understand clearly this generation of SLPP knows how to handle the tactics of the APC and will prevail.
Right. Stay with us. We still have with us in the studio Lawrence Leema, Publicity Secretary of the Sierra Leone People's Party, Honorable Abdul Korma and Abdul Kamara and Charles in our studio too, talking about the by-elections in Samabendugu Chiefdom, Tonkolili district. So as we round up the conversation, I was asking about the investigations which are going to, or I assume should be ongoing, given that the incidents have happened over the course of last week and over the weekend. And the UN, the United Nations, has put out a statement for inter-party conversation. We have put a lot of responsibility on the security forces, on the political parties themselves, on the political party leadership, I mean by that, and on politicians generally. But what of us as citizens, devoid of where we belong, whether we belong to the SLPP, whether we belong to the APC, at the end of the day, we're all Sierra Leoneans and we should have one goal towards development, towards national cohesion. So what responsibility should we take as citizens?
As citizens, we are responsible also to helping protect the integrity of the state, the sanity of our people and our communities. Hence, we should comport ourselves by the rule or to the rule of law. But however, we all should know as human beings, our leaders are revered. And the tongue is very powerful. Philosophers will always tell you. Any man that is persuasive with the tongue can move a crowd. and can agitate a crowd to action. So whilst the people remain responsible, if their leaders come out and ginger them out, it will trigger them into another thing. We saw it with the Julius Caesar thing. When Brutus had already addressed the people, they fell for what Brutus said, they were calm. The moment Brutus left and Mark Antony came in and gave them another version with a more intriguing speech, they became agitated, they became violent, and they went after those noble men. What was the end result? The killing of them all. So we also should bear in mind, whilst we speak to the citizenry to remain responsible, the bulk rests with our leaders. I have given you an example of an outcome that was so perfect, or near perfect, which we all gave accolades to all of the political parties, NEC and the PPRC, the Koya and Kailan elections. Because the leadership took a responsible position of talking to the people to abhor violence. So until the leaders take the role and the lead in campaigning against violence, believe you me, the people would always but follow the patterns of their leaders. So we have to work together with the leaders. And on my last note on this, it has to be also when we choose to go for any conversation or any dialogue. Mark you, the concrete outcomes of any dialogue precipitates on the frankness, the trueness of that conversation. If that conversation is not frank and true and honest, the outcome will not be a good one. So at the end of the day, you will not be able to achieve the set out objective of your coming to dialogue. So we also have to make our conversations very open, very frank and honest. Speak the truth to those who ought to be spoken to. So at the end of the day, by the time you leave that conversation, you know you are going as a new person, you are going with a new commitment in the interest of this country, in the interest of the people you purport to serve. Be a non-violent person.
All right. Thank you very much, Charles Kobai from National Elections Watch. AKK, now, what should be done? What do you now, if you're saying, for example, that you reported the matter to, the security players, PPRC, NEC, ECSL, ONS, and they met, you were left out. Now, what's your level of trust and confidence in these state institutions now to actually get things done the right way if things are not being done according to?
Samuel, we are the suffering part of all of this. I still repeat, the house of our supporters are burnt down. Our people are maimed. The video you played just showed it all. They have been hospitalized. Our people are in police custody. Our main campaign manager is still in police custody. And the same police that are investigating are the police that aided the thugs from the SLPP to impact negatively on our people, and these are the same people investigating. But when you talk about national dialogue around violence in Sierra Leone, I think after the 2018 election and our people were chased out of Kono, we had a situation our people were killed in Kailau, our people were attacked in the south and the eastern part, the woman was killed in Lomli. Our party went to the president and asked for a dialogue on some of this major violence around the country. And a team was set that was supposed to be headed by the vice president. As we speak, no reports. That committee never functioned. We had a situation of major violence around the country. And as members of parliament, we've even called for the report of the Pademba Road incident. As we speak, no report is out. We've called for the one in Tombo, no report. The essence of having this report is not to prove who is wrong or who is right. The essence of those reports are meant for us to combat some of those situations not to happen again. Okay. And when I speak, I say government. I also want the minister to understand, the deputy minister to understand that government does not presupposes just SLPP. Government presupposes all of us in the... As
long as you're in the minority, it doesn't bother. You are not bothered. Okay. Anyway, carry on. I don't intend to interrupt you.
Quickly.
That's how I'm brought up.
Go on,
I'm brought
quickly.
up to keep quiet when people are speaking. I am saying when we say government, it presupposes everybody in the governance platform, and it also includes, to a bigger spectrum, even our viewers, the civil society, the media that are watching. We are all in this governance, because when it goes wrong for Sierra Leone, we are all affected. And so when I say violence at every level should not just be condemned, but we must ensure. This example of the Vice President and Samura Kamara, when they met at that lonely road in that small village, symbolizes a great message that should be cascaded to other people. But the attitude of the police under the instruction of Leema will not do Sierra Leone good.
All right. So thank you very much, Honorable Abdul Karim Hamid Kamara of the APC. Leema, the question now is, let me just take you quickly off the SLPP seat and just take you to your government seat. President Bio, during the inauguration at during his inauguration at the National Stadium, said he was going to fight wars, and 2 of the 3 he declared was lawlessness and indiscipline. How far are we? Because with all of these things happening around by-elections and politics, where are we in winning that fight?
Well, you see, sometimes I would say the forbearance of the leadership of this administration will give the scope to Honorable here to talk to me in the manner in which he speaks, right? To say the police under my instructions. If I say I'm going to really direct the police to do exactly what you did to me, you're not going to sit here to say certain things you say to me, or you're not going to stand in parliament. Yes, I will tell you this for free, to be very honest with you. But I am a Christian to start with. And I don't take grudges along, and I'm a good citizen, and I believe that once I was given that opportunity to execute as deputy minister, I took oath in the presence of the president, and therefore I carry myself according to what law prescribed. So all he has seated here to say are all contradictory remarks, are not helpful to the peace and cohesion of this country, but exactly I understand the background from which he's coming. That's the nature of the APC. They say one thing and they mean another thing. Now, he was overemphasizing the meeting of Dr. Samura Kamara and Vice President Jules Jallo, right? And in another bit, he went again to draw up something that they were very much responsible for, because they had their game plan. When President Bio won the elections, they never wanted President Bio to even take over the state governance. They had their plans, and all of those plans were aborted. They set up all of those minute bodies to cause mayhem and cause atrocities, to make like this government is unfit to rule. Because it was even said by the very Dr. Samura Kamara that they will make this administration ungovernable. But certainly enough, thankfully enough, at least we have done our best to actually up our game and to rise beyond their own childishness, their own unpatriotic acts against this nation. And for certain, we are very genuine towards serving the people of this country, and we are very genuine about this, about also administering this country. They are very insincere, and that is why when they sit here to talk on something that is good and that is progressive for this nation, they begin to bring things that they have done to apportion that blame on state institutions and those in leadership. But as certainly we are in the driving seat, we will overlook their excesses because we know that is their nature. And we will not be distracted. We are focused. We would ensure that as much as the leadership is so forbearing, is democratic in character, we will follow his leadership style, and we will drive this seat, and we will drive this nation to a successful destination. And we believe that Sierra Leone, in spite of the APC destructive strategy to undermine the peace and stability of this nation, the SLPP will prevail in ensuring that peace and cohesion thrive in Sierra Leone under the leadership of President Bio and the SLPP.
Well, thank
now,
you very
I want
much
to conclude on behalf of the leadership of the SLPP to sympathize with the AYV on your loss of one of your staff, Mr. Ransford, and also to the family. May his soul and the souls of all the faithful departed rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time, Leema, and thank you to Charles and AKK for joining us in the studio. That's all we have time for, unfortunately.